Thomas, Ethan, fist my bump. All right. That is a reference to Project Hail Mary, the movie we're going to be talking about this week. In case those who have not seen it yet, we are seeing it. We are talking about it a bit early. There have been a lot of screenings in major cities, which has been awesome. Yep. So we are talking about Project Hail Mary, which comes out on Friday, the newest movie by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, their first movie in over a decade, which we'll get into. But before we start, I just want to give a quick shout out to our writers, Luca and Michael, who are in South by Southwest right now. Guys, if you're listening, please go check out their articles. They've already written a ton of stuff for us. Keep it up. Love you guys. All right, let's get into it. So, this movie, Project Hail Mary, guys, has been highly anticipated. Phil Lord and Chris Miller are beloved filmmakers. You go through some of their works, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
By everybody those who work under them.
Yes. Yes. You got the Jump Street movies. You got the Lego movie. Even they're producing stuff. Spider-Verse, iconic movies. They were making Solo and then got fired. So you exclude Solo. This is their first movie in 12 years, their first directorial efforts. So there's been a lot of chatter about this movie, them coming back. So what do you guys think of Phil Lord and Chris Miller? Were you guys excited just because of them being involved? Do you like their work? Let me know what you guys think.
Okay. So basically, I don't know how long it's been since this film was announced, but I saw that there was Phil Lord, Chris Miller, Ryan Gosling, and Greg Fraser, and I'm like, I don't know what this book is, but I'm already seated. Like day -1, I will be there, and I was. I didn't wear the fine china, the Ryan Gosling drive jacket to the premiere because it was rainy as hell. But I thought I'd break it out one more time here for the podcast since it was very.
And I love
fitting.
that you have the poster in the background too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't set up any of my posters because I'm just living here temporarily. But I was like, I'll go and prop it up there for the moment, as well as having the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street. Unfortunately,
you have all the merch. Yeah, is that the book back there?
Stuff.
My goodness.
That is the Second Sight limited release.
Wow.
It does have the book in it too of the movie. Anyway, I think that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are very, very talented filmmakers. Was kind of devastated when they turned out to be shitty people from the behind the scenes stories of the Spider-Verse films. But despite that, I've been really excited, super excited to see a new film from them ever since the Lego Movie.
Yeah. Thomas, how about you?
Yeah, Phil, I love the Lego Movie. I think that style of storytelling and the pacing and the comedic timing, I think that's one of the things that they do really well is comedic timing. And so from that perspective, yes, I was looking forward to it, but I did read the book, and by read the book, I mean I listened to the audiobook. And I wasn't entirely sure how their style was going to work for this story, and for this movie. And I have thoughts about that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Ultimately, I think that they put out good entertainment, and I can see why they were they took on this project.
Yeah. You mentioned that you read the book. Ethan, did you read the book? Did you know anything about the movie going in? Because I went in completely blind.
I was aware there was a book. I was aware that there was something in the trailer that spoiled a reveal in the book. So I don't know if I'll talk about that yet. seems like you have some thoughts on that, Thomas.
Me? No way. Look, I guess it's no secret. The trailer gives it away. You know, Ryan Gosling's character meets an alien on this adventure, and it's not that that is a massive reveal. It's the majority of the book. So it's not that it's a massive detail to spoil. There is another reveal that happens in the book that the movie makes no efforts to make a reveal, which kind of bothered me. In fact, there's a lot of translations things that bothered me. But yeah, I think that there was kind of a part of me that was like, can you just not give away to anybody who hasn't read the book that there's an alien involved here? Like, I mean, everyone already is on the interstellar train. Everyone's already like making those comparisons, and that should be good enough word of mouth. You don't need to then add extra stuff. I think movie marketing does the most trying to get people into seats when sometimes you don't have to do everything and like give every single thing away just to get people to the theater. I mean, ultimately, I think there are more egregious movie marketing decisions elsewhere in the industry, but yeah, I think it would have been really cool for people who did not read the book to watch the movie and then realize, oh my gosh, there's an alien involved in this story. That's interesting, and to have that discovery in the theater. But that's just.
And just the last thought, I knew that about the trailer, but I didn't watch the trailer, so I didn't know what it would look like or the design of anything. So that was really cool surprise seeing how they done. And I'm pretty sure I read something where they didn't want to use green screen at all. Like I thought all the effects were pretty great.
Yeah. That's why I've stayed away from a lot of trailers these past couple years. They're not made for me. They're made for people who are hesitant or may not know a movie exists. What's the purpose for me? I'm going to be there day one regardless. So I'm happy I stayed away from the trailers. I'm going to keep staying away from trailers because I just think they've gotten really bad. Studios have gotten a lot more desperate to get audiences in seats, which I understand, but it would just be so cool if going into Avengers Doomsday, you didn't know every single character that was returning. You know, there was I'm sure there was going to be a ton of surprises in that movie, but again, no, like Steve Rogers is back when they didn't have to, but again, they're desperate. But that's a whole other conversation. Let's get back to
the biggest surprise would be if that movie was actually good.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. So this movie stars Ryan Gosling, one of, if not the most charismatic actor working today. What did you guys think of him in this movie? I love him in everything he does. Ethan, you love Drive, so I think you have a soft spot for Gosling, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love everything that he's in, really. It's just Drive was kind of what made me go, oh hey, I like this guy. Not to like do the whole literally me thing, but I think he brings a very neurodivergent personality to the function that you just don't see anybody else do. I don't know if that's intentional, but I feel like looking at all of his characters, like Drive, like La La Land, even
Barbie,
First Man and Barbie, yeah, like there's a very interesting connection I see in this guy. I'm like, this guy there's something about him that's very interesting. I wish he didn't get all that weird Botox on his face that I saw recently. Because now he's just difficult to look at. And so now every time I see him in a movie, I'm just going to be looking at that and going, why is your face weird? So there's that. So maybe I'm going to be less of a fan of Ryan Gosling now, and Robert Pattinson will fully take over. But I thought he was really great. I think First Man is still the better sad spaceman performance of his. But I think that a lot of people will connect to him here and be really gripped by the opening present sequence as well as the opening flashback sequence. I think those will be a very good hook for people to go, I will watch this guy for fucking 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Thomas, how about you?
You know, Ryan Gosling is one of the actors who I kind of gravitate. Like, if he's in a movie, I'm usually like, yeah, sure, I'll go see that. I think that Drive was also really my introduction to Ryan Gosling being like someone who I really like as an actor. But I mean, he had a lot of notable roles. I mean, The Notebook was probably the one that most people got familiar with him with. Blue Valentine is another one in more of the indie circles, the cinephile circles. And of course, Crazy Stupid Love, which came out the same year as Drive,
Crazy,
which was
crazy range for one year.
right. Right. I also think of him. I think a lot about him in The Big Short as well. That's
The
a
Nice
fun one.
Guys, even like
Nice Guys. So yeah, everyone like now when we talk about him, we do drop La La Land, Barbie, even Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the roles he picks up are very interesting, and I'm usually on board with it, right? And so here, I think in this movie, there's this interesting cross section of Ryan Gosling, playing Ryan Gosling, pretty much, but also that being appropriate because this character is pretty much Ryan Gosling, you know? And so I was thinking about it, like, what would I have expected him to do to make this role more critically acclaimable? Nothing. He did exactly what he was supposed to. I think he portrayed this character very well. I think this character resembles a lot of what I already kind of know and understand from Ryan Gosling's performances. It was perfect casting in my opinion. So like, no, I don't need this like avant-garde performance from him in this one. I just, he just needed to get the chemistry right with his co-star, I suppose. And I think that was the objective.
Awesome. Yeah. He's so charismatic. He can have all the screen time with a robot and it just works. He's just has this aura, this energy, whatever you want to call it, that can just carry a movie. And it's not that I found this movie boring, but I just felt like if anybody else was in that role, it didn't have what he had, that charisma. I don't know if it would have worked the same.
Yeah, I was trying to think if we put any of the other Ryans in this role, would it have worked? Like Ryan Reynolds.
Would you watch Ryan Reynolds do that for 2.5 hours?
No, I would not. No.
Can you imagine? But that also leads me into maybe a problem with the movie for me personally. It's that the movie relies so much on Ryan Gosling. And even if you want to include this robot friend of his, Rocky, we can do that too. But again, if we're looking at just the humans, it's mostly just Ryan Gosling. And if you want to call her the co-lead, the main supporting performance, Sandra Hüller. And for those who don't remember, Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall, one of the best performances of that year, 2023, The Zone of Interest. Like, she's really become a name in these past couple years. And she was in the marketing, and it was really exciting to see her in her first movie or first major project since that year. But I felt like even though she was second billing, technically, she still kind of felt underutilized. Did you guys feel that in any way? I don't know. She just felt detached from the core of the movie.
Sorry, Ethan, I'm gonna jump in on this one really quick and then I'll let you talk. This is, first of all, I want to say something that I thought about the second time I watched it is like, look, I think when it comes to Ryan Gosling, I think everybody deserves a friend that looks at them the way that Ryan Gosling looks at Rocky. Okay, like I think everybody deserves that kind of friendship. But Sandra Hüller, I 100% understand what you're saying there, and it's even more exaggerated when you've read the book. Because in the book, Sandra Hüller's character, why am I spacing on her name right now? Her name is Strat. Strat in the book is a very authoritative character. She is soft-spoken, she is very direct, but also she has power and she has executive decision making, and people respect her because she is doing this impossible thing, and she wears that power in a way that is commanding, right? When she makes an order, it's a thing that everybody follows and that everybody's respecting, and you get that sense of gravitas from her in the book. In the movie, she is so passive. She'll give an order, that's true, but it's like, do you even believe the order you gave? Like when they're in the boardroom and they're like, does he have clearance? And she stands up, I hereby give you clearance. And I'm like, yeah, that happened in the book, but the book did that way better.
It
I don't
seems
know.
passive, yeah.
It's so passive. It's
It just
just like
happened.
she's making the statements, but there's not the power just isn't behind the statements or the orders. Like she's doing the things. It just doesn't have the feel of someone who is a world leader. And I spent the second time watching it trying to figure out why that is. Was it the script? Was it the performance? Was it the editing, which I had massive problems with on this movie?
Wow.
Uh, but like what part, and I think ultimately it was a combination of everything. I wasn't the biggest fan of her portrayal here. She was trying to give that kind of like subdued, very direct, very stern performance, but I think that it kind of came off weak in a way. I don't know, maybe I also expected the accent to be stronger. This is a consequence of me listening to the audiobook. Because it's a very strong accent in the audiobook. And so I would have loved for her character to have been to have had more of that very authoritative presence in this movie. And I think like when it comes to editing, the pacing of this movie just goes by so quick. And there's, even at 2 hours and 45 minutes or 2 hours and 40 minutes, there's so much you have to get in here. And when the movie is trying to tell the book kind of verbatim, you have to fit a lot into this time. And so you're rushing through scenes. You don't really give moments time to breathe. And I think maybe that also had a impact on how Strat was portrayed. You don't give her the time to be authoritative. You give her the time to say the line so we can move on to the next plot point.
Interesting. Ethan, how about you? Any thoughts on Sandra Hüller?
I thought she was really good in the movie. I feel like we could ask Thomas, was there like connection, more of a relationship between Sandra Hüller and Ryan Gosling's character
Yeah,
in the book?
They were teasing that.
Yeah, I'm like, if this was a different like director, there would be a little something else there.
We might get into spoilers here. I don't know. Is this considered spoilers, guys? I don't want to.
I wouldn't call it a spoiler because in the book, no, their relationship is entirely professional. Strat has one mission. She is very single-mindedly focused on this mission. And my personal experience, the first time that I watched it, I had to go to the bathroom at the karaoke scene. And so I missed the eye contact and the chemistry they were trying to build there, and so I didn't really pick up on that the first time that I watched it.
Did you see the rooftop scene right before that though? Because
I did.
Like, oh, are they gonna kiss?
Oh my god, I did see the rooftop scene, but I knew that conversation from the book. Okay. And so like, okay, this is pretty on par. But then the second time I watched the karaoke scene and the eye contact they're making, I'm like, what's happening here? What's going on? And there's another interaction right after that. I think it was when was it right before the explosion happens where there's kind of this electricity between them.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Like, what are we doing here? Not only is it not in the book that there's some kind of interest there,
not even
I think there's like the only reference I can remember is maybe in relationship to Sandra Hüller's Strat's future, because she has now devoted her life to this being happening, and she can't have a romantic interest anymore. Like, this is her life. She knows that she is sacrificing her life for the future of humanity. So even if she wanted to, she can't have a romantic relationship because it's going to distract from saving humanity. And so I think that there's a little bit of longing in that sense, but it's never like, oh yeah, they would have been in a relationship in an alternate life, like it just doesn't, not that I remember, it doesn't come up that way. And so it was so weird adding it just felt like this cliche that Hollywood has to add romantic interest in a movie, that even if it's not necessary, because this does not need to be, it's a great buddy comedy. Let's just keep it a buddy comedy, guys. I'm sorry, I'm really going off on this. It's a very minimal part of the movie, but when it happens, it's just like, why is this happening?
That's interesting because like you seem to be a lot lower on this movie than a lot of people, and I'm wondering if they also read the book and still loved it for what it was, or maybe readers of the book like yourself are finding issues with it based on what you read. I think that's very fascinating.
I would be interested to hear more about what other people thought who read the book. But I I
It
went
would
on
be
this
good if
tangent.
Zach was here because he read it and really loved the movie. So
Where is that? Is that Dak? Yo, you're gonna. I want to get your comments at some point. I know you're gonna listen to this at some point, so I need to get your comments so I can post it on the site or on social media or something. But I think Ethan, did you have anything else to say about Strauss and Sandra Hulu's performance? I think I may have cut you off and diverged.
sorry, I just got a notification that was first look at the Batman 2, and I go over and it's just a joke, and I was really upset just now.
Boo.
Yeah. So I liked the little teasing around with being like, oh, there's something there. There's like a spark of something there, maybe, because I feel like it. I didn't read the book, so for
I'm
what
sorry,
it
did you
was
see me
here, I
shake my
thought it
head?
worked. Yeah. I like we said spoilers earlier, so
Yeah.
I like how it worked in the. By the way, you're going and there's no other way, and you are going. We're gonna fucking sedate you, and you're going. Was that something different in the book as
You didn't
well?
like that,
Like,
No, I kind of hate that I read the book first. Because the book is I thoroughly enjoyed the book. We're in spoiler territory, so that moment where she says, you know, I want you to understand what I'm going to do next. That's a reveal in the book. It's a memory that he has because bravery is kind of an ongoing theme in here. And while he's trying to like understand his place in like making like trying to get his memories back, like every flashback, also to be clear, I don't know if this is clear in the movie, but every flashback is a memory that's supposed to be coming back to him.
I got that later.
yeah, I got that at the last at that
Yes,
one, at that reveal.
yes.
I'm like, oh, he's like getting it
Oh, the
back.
memories that he's
Because
every
there's an
single
offline, there's
flashback
like
is
a one-off
every
line where
single
it's like,
one.
oh yeah,
every
you may
flashback
experience
is
memory
supposed
amnesia.
to, yeah, it's supposed to be a piece of his memory coming back. That's not just for our information. It's not just like, oh yeah, by the way, guys, this happened, and
That
you know,
did
he has to
not
deal with this.
translate well if that was the goal.
It doesn't. And in the book, it is crucial for revelation. He is not only discovering things about this mission as he goes on, but he's discovering things about himself. And the fact that he was a coward and was actually like forced onto this thing is a massive revelation in the book. Like, you know, he's been grappling with bravery and you know, the future of him and like taking on this mission, and then to realize, well, he's actually a coward and really didn't want to do this, and they had to force him, and there's no bravery or honor in that. Like, that is a massive reveal that just does not translate to as massive of a reveal in the movie. And I thought I missed it the first time. Like, maybe I was distracted and missed when they indicated like, okay, from here on, these are memories. And then I watched it the second time. There is no indication that these are memories. No. It is just like, and we have visual language and editing in movies to just kind of understand when you flash back in a movie, you're just kind of filling in the audience. That's not, he's remembering these things as he goes, and I get the feeling that maybe the intent was to translate that verbatim from the book to the movie, but editing got in the way. They had to cut run times, probably they had to streamline the narrative, and they probably just didn't realize in the edit they didn't have time to explain these are memories.
So yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about these flashbacks now, because it goes into another one of my issues with the movie, and I want to know if you guys agree. But to me, when there was something exciting happening in space and then they abruptly cut back to the past, it kind of ruined the flow of the movie. There was that great sequence when Grace, Ryan Gosling's character, spoiler, as I feel like we're in full spoiler territory, saves that thing that he needed. I can't remember what it was, but Rocky was like, we'll get it later. And they need to get the substance that they needed, you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
The life from the planet
Adrian. Yeah. It was so exciting.
Right.
Predator.
Yeah, it was, to me, it was like the action climax of the movie was so exciting, and then that ending, then it cut right back to a flashback. It might have been the flashback when they're telling him that he's been that it's decided he's going, and I was like, it just like, I feel like it all halted to a stop for a second. Like, I know it's necessary, and again, it sounds like from the book, that's the way the story, the narrative is supposed to be, but I just thought it was a complete 180, and it kind of like just slowed everything down when I feel like we were at like a high there.
Ethan, I'll let you weigh in on pacing and structure for this movie from someone who didn't read the book. I think maybe you probably have a better perspective here, because I'm just going to go off on how this movie doesn't translate the book well.
Damn.
I thought it was well done.
Okay.
I really liked the opening starting in space and then going back. I think it's really great at building up this character and how you see him. I do kind of get that idea that there is stuff that was probably taken out, because 2 hours 40 minutes, like, I feel like there's a 3-hour version of this that works really well. But I think the structure of the film was good, maybe besides the whole abruptly stopping during like the action climax. I think. I think a lot of the needle drop moments are really cool. I think they stick the landing in the end with how they pace each like wrap up moment. But I did like the editing, and I feel like I don't know how it worked in. Did you see it in IMAX, Thomas?
I did. So I saw it in the first screening. The first
Mhm.
screening I saw was a standard screening, which I strongly don't recommend.
No, not at all.
I don't even know why they're showing it on standard screens. It just is an inferior movie, significantly. But I did yesterday go see it in IMAX 70 millimeter.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the way it changes from full frame to it's hard to tell when it's in big IMAX. I'm just gonna say 235.
I
For example,
just say widescreen.
Yeah, widescreen. There we go. So when it goes from full frame to widescreen, they have a lot of like visual like flashing from the full frame that overlaps into black bars, and I think I've never seen that done for something like this. Like usually it's just a straight cut. Like if you watch Nolan movies or Sinners, except for the parts where it physically goes. I think that was really clever, especially considering it's like a space movie. I think it works really well. So I think a lot of the visual editing was also really smart. And I've heard people say that this is going to be awards contender. No. If Interstellar wasn't really an awards contender, this isn't.
We're talking about online discourse at the end, but yes, I cannot believe
that's. You know what? You know what that was? And I kind of pinged it when I heard that. Like, that was SEO. Somebody was trying to capitalize on the fact that the Oscars are happening right now. There is, maybe it might get some technical awards if nothing technical comes out the rest of the year.
Can win, but yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, people. Come on,
way ahead of ourselves, guys. Ethan, I do appreciate that you're pointing out the frame format, because I did notice the flaring that happened outside of the widescreen. Like, and I did think that was clever. There's some other interesting editing tricks they did between the two sizes, where we know that everything that happens in space is in full frame and everything that happens on Earth is in widescreen. But I think it was interesting because in transitioning between the two, when it was going from space to Earth, there were full frame transition shots into Earth. So like it would be the widescreen in space, but then it'd be the full screen in space, but then the next shot would be of Earth in full screen, and then it would cut to. So it was like getting you prepared to make the transition from the full screen to the widescreen by having like one or two shots on Earth in full screen. So yeah, there were some interesting editing tricks when it came to the framing, and like technically speaking, this movie it is gorgeous. Like, don't see this in anything less than IMAX, guys. Like, even if you can't get to 70 millimeter screening, the full screen is it is a very immersive experience. Highly recommend that if you're trying to really get the most theatrical experience you can. I was ready to give this a really poor score in standard. I'm glad that I had a chance to go see it in IMAX. but it is very immersive in that way. I just think that when it came to pacing the movie, like you said, Ethan, it's clear that things were cut out. It's clear that things were truncated and like really condensed, and it just I felt like this movie goes at a breakneck pace. And again, maybe that's just because I read the book, and the book allows for more time and space for things. I think that yes, we are blessed with a great IMAX experience here. But if you wanted to do this story justice, I imagine this would have been a better episodic story. I think the book lends itself to cliffhangers pretty regularly, which very easily could have translated to like end of episode cliffhangers and revelations throughout the series. And then you would have had time to explain these memories, these flashbacks or memories. You would have had time to build up to the reveal of the alien and like have more time with them building that connection, because I think if there's one thing that really does work in the movie, it is the friendship between Grace and Rocky. That really works. And I would have loved to have spent more time with that, because even that is kind of rushed. I mean, they actually stopped to explain how they learn each other's language, but like you have to go through that really quickly too. And suddenly Rocky is able to speak without the computer being right there. Like, wait, what's I still don't know how they explain that. Like, did I miss something? Because he's recording Rocky, so that the computer can translate what Rocky is saying, and so the computer is the sound system for Rocky's voice. But then later on, Rocky barges in, he's just able to talk.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
I like even the second time.
I had
like,
assumed that they had just like figured something out. Like there's just like a microphone inside his little ball, and there's like speakers like on like the announcement system, like it's connected to the Mary ship or whatever. It's just like yeah, sure, whatever. Like it's for the purpose of like film. It's like just like yeah, sure, go with it. It's like in Avatar: The Way of Water, where it's like, and then the Na'vi language sounded like English to me, and then they just start speaking English. It's like yeah, sure.
Well, actually, I want to know if you guys got that too. Did you guys pick up that he learned Rocky's language?
Yeah, like it's like at the end of the like I feel like throughout the film, it's like yeah, he's starting to like even get it where it's like oh, you're trying to say this, but what's in a word we can use or like vice versa, and then by the end, it's just like yeah, now they just speak their own language and they get it. I think the way they play with the language, in my opinion, was clever and works.
It was a bit abrupt, but I guess I got like it didn't bother me too much.
Yeah, it's meant to be a time jump, like at the end, because he's got a whole fake house and they made a biodome for him. It's like, yeah, like they've had time to figure this out.
Yeah, totally.
I can see where it's abrupt, like where it feels abrupt. Yeah.
But anyway, like I would have loved to have spent more time. Like I think I just would have appreciated the story personally more as an episodic thing where we can actually have revelations. Because I didn't feel a whole lot was revelating in this movie. I don't think that when a reveal happened that it was a reveal. It was just kind of like, oh, here's some information for you. And so when the reveal happens that they had to drug him and send him to space, I mean, it moves on so quickly. The scene happens, and then there's Grace sitting there, and you're supposed to realize, oh, he just realized that that's what happened, but it doesn't make that clear. And then after that shot, we move on, and like it's kind of interspersed how often he has to deal with bravery and like, am I really a brave person? But it doesn't hit. The revelation doesn't hit. The point doesn't hit. And I think all of that kind of goes to like how this movie is edited and paced. It just doesn't fit in this 2 hour and 40-minute runtime.
Interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see the public reaction to this movie when it releases wide on Friday. Very, very interested in that. Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of negative things to say. I'm going to try to find more positive things to say, because ultimately, even on my first watch, I can recognize this is manufactured to be a crowd pleaser. So much so that I think it pushes too hard sometimes. Like with this, I think it was the second time that I watched it, the angelic score, I hated it. It's so on the nose and so just like really like feel this emotional scene happening right now. Get the angels out. And I'm just like, oh my God, guys, can you just let them have a moment, please?
It's so funny you say that because I know someone who had that exact same problem. Well, with Nolan movies in general, but specifically Oppenheimer. He hates the score for Oppenheimer because of that exact reason, where it's like you have to feel this, and I'm gonna make you feel that through this music. Is that a problem for you in general, Thomas? Because I've never heard you talk about scores like that. I don't know if did it just struck a nerve with you specifically with this movie?
I was very mindful about it this time because music is so important to me in movies. And I think that you can, yes, you can have sentimental music that really emphasizes an emotion. Hamnet is a great example. I weep like a baby.
People have problem with Hamnet though. That's so interesting.
That's actually a good point. But on The Nature of Light, is that what that song's called? Like when that happens at the end of Hamnet, yeah, I just weep like a baby. And I know it's emotional manipulation. I get it. But I think that maybe the angel thing, and I was thinking about it because it happens a couple times where they're either hugging or a big thing happens, and then angels start singing. It like has the angel, the choral angel score happening, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, guys, I get it.
I guess it's meant to be like, yeah, like he's like a savior, like he's coming in to like do like basically a miracle by bringing this to Earth.
And I know that they're playing off of Hail Mary. I get it, right? Like
like Hail Mary, like that's also part of it.
It's so on the nose. It's just a little bit too on the nose. And
then like, do you believe in God, Sandra Hüller? And she's like, yeah, I do. Yeah. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. Now that.
That scene in particular also is rush edited. Like each person gets one line to say back and forth, and it's like, okay, we gotta get to karaoke, you know. I was saying something positive. Wait. It's a crowd-pleasing movie, right? It's a crowd-pleasing movie, and even though the moment swelling doesn't work for me because I think that and I'm not saying it doesn't work. I think it's too forced. And I feel how forced it is, but I think that the majority of people are just going to take those moments in as they are, and I think that those moments, especially when it's between Rocky and Grace, those moments will probably pay off for a lot of people, and that really makes it this like manufactured crowd pleaser. Do we downgrade it because it's a manufactured crowd pleaser rather than a more organic crowd pleaser? Maybe not. It's for, I think, with the majority of audiences, it's going to accomplish what it meant to.
Huh. Yeah,
I've never heard the word interstellar so much in my life as I had when leaving that theater. It's just like, yeah, it's like Interstellar. It's like
it's not like Interstellar.
People like Interstellar, right?
No, people love.
People love it. Like it's you can gauge whether normal people like a movie if it's in like the IMDb 250 or whatever.
Which Interstellar absolutely is. I don't even need to check that.
Yeah, so I think because of that, and because we have someone who's hot right now, Ryan Gosling, that I think this will do well because Thomas, you mentioned marketing earlier. If we can get $200 million off of Timothée Chalamet just being like, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I think this will do numbers. And I think that, just one more tie back to the start, I think that in a competition of actors playing themselves, I think Flirting versus Harassment, Ryan Gosling and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
We touched a bit on the visuals before, but I feel like that's something we can all agree on, Thomas, since you want to find something positive to talk about. The visuals are absolutely stunning. Like you said before, cannot recommend seeing this on the biggest, best screen you can enough. It's stunning. We were talking about this before we started recording, but I think that when this movie gets released on VOD and people start making those compilations, those edits of like the most beautiful shots in cinematic history, people are going to be using some of the shots in this movie. They're beautiful, and like, regardless of my issues aside, it's a stunning movie to look at. Do you guys have any thoughts on the visuals, how amazing they are? Because I don't see how you can say anything else.
I really, really did like the visuals of the movie. I was surprised at the end to see Greg Fraser because it felt like it didn't have the Batman Dune process of digital transfer to film back to digital. Like at the start there, when it's like full frame IMAX, I'm like, oh, I see some digital artifacting in there. So at the very end, when it said Greg Fraser, I'm like, Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Was that loud? Sorry, I didn't mean to be loud.
Oh, you're good.
I think the colors are beautiful. Seeing something like this, like I'm just really glad. I'm really glad we're past the whole grayish brownish MCU slop camera.
That's
like,
actually so funny you say that, because one of the things that I think about, and I don't know where, like I'm not pointing to any particular scene here, but like when we're on Adrian, all I think is Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean,
when I say
Peter,
MCU, I don't mean James Gunn. Everything besides James Gunn. There's an asterisk there that
Okay.
you didn't hear me.
Fair enough. But yeah, like Adrian has this really like neon vibrant thing, and I'm like, Peter Quill must be around here somewhere. Like they are stealing something from someone. Okay, like that's the vibe that this planet gives. And so like is that a bad thing? Maybe not. But I one of the things that I wanted to say, this is negative again. I'm gonna end it with a positive thing, I promise. But like, so this movie is really good at understanding the genre that it's in, and understanding its place in that genre. So it's referencing Alien, it's referencing Close Encounters, I think is the movie. It's there's lots of interstellar vibes. I think escaping E.T. is another one, right? Escaping Adrian, I think, is very similar to the docking scene in
oh my god, I literally just like as soon as it started, I'm like, oh, this is their docking sequence.
Right.
Like, every time I'm just like, oh, this is that beat from Interstellar. Like I'm just like, I'm thinking like you were saying, like when it comes on VOD, I'm like, I don't ever want to watch this again, because I could just like in the same time watch Interstellar and get more out of that, because I'm like gripping, like locked in during docking sequence, and during Adrian sequence, I'm like,
oh, this is happening, I guess.
Yeah, he's gonna get that, isn't he? Ooh. Oh, we got it. Nice.
There it is, right? Yeah, totally. So I got like that escaping Adrian was like Interstellar. And then I get this planet that looks like Guardians of the Galaxy, and so I think that Project Hail Mary, it takes from so many parts of the sci-fi space genre, and I think one of my biggest problems with it is that it doesn't give anything to the genre. I don't think we can walk away from Project Hail Mary with something that says, okay, this contributed to the space genre. It just kind of takes and takes and takes. And I mean, I wish that there was something that it could have given that we can then include in pop culture. Because I think it's a movie of that caliber. This is a film that it's a blockbuster. A lot of people are going to be watching it. And when you have a space journey like this, I don't think it's unreasonable to think like you can leave something for pop culture to hang on to. And I don't know, maybe when it comes to theaters, maybe somebody does find something to hang on to. Maybe Fist My Bump becomes a line.
There's a lot of lines in here that feel like, oh, that's gonna be like a quote that people say.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's very, like you said, very crowd pleasing, and I do feel that oh fuck. What was I saying? Sorry to
the
swear.
comedy.
We swear. I forget about this.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Right. It feels like the least original and innovative, and least like a Lord Miller movie. Like you look at 21 Jump Street and Lego Movie, it's like these are trendsetters. Like people, how many movies are like, oh, it's like the Lego Movie? And although they didn't direct it, like they had a lot of probably to do with the style of the Spider-Verse movies, where not every animated movie looks like Spider-Verse, right? So I think I don't know how much of it is because of that book you love so much, that it's taking from other things. Like, was this written before Interstellar? I don't know.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the plot points you can't change, right? The plot points are what they are. And so like, I don't want to hold decisions the book made against the movie. Maybe I will a little bit, because I think if I was going to approach this story as a movie, I would have restructured the whole thing. I wouldn't have tried to copy to like tell the book verbatim, because this is beat by beat what the book does, and the story of the book, but because the book has more time to do it. Like I said, 2 hours and 40 minutes just isn't enough time to go beat by beat for the book. And when I think of, and this is like at the top of this, I had said, like, I love Lego Movie, I love Lord and Miller's style. I just don't know if they were the right style for this movie, because I don't think they were allowed to infuse that energy into it. This book, that it doesn't have that kind of energy. And so they do what they can with the comedy. There are funny lines, and I actually found it funnier the second time when I wasn't just like annoyed with how like it's not translating the book in the way that I wanted it to. So I think the comedy works, but I don't think that they were, I think that it's just glimmers of what Lord and Miller are best at, and then procedural filmmaking with very choppy and rushed storytelling and editing along the way. And it's interesting because I'm realizing this in a lot of movies. I saw Send Help recently, where it's like, oh, an interesting psychological drama, Sam Raimi moment, interesting psychological drama, Sam Raimi moments. Like, it's not a Sam Raimi movie, it's a psychological drama with a bunch of Sam Raimi moments.
Thank you. I feel insane with how many people are like, Sam Raimi is back, and it's like,
no,
he just did this movie that people brought a script to him to be like, hey, you want to do this movie? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll produce it and even direct it. It's not like how he and his brother wrote and directed Drag Me to Hell, like where it's clearly structured around his strengths. It's anyway, off topic. I just wanted to put that out
it's
there.
off topic. There's another movie I was thinking of where Begonia. Begonia is a really interesting like psychological thriller, but it's Yorgos, so you have to end it in a Yorgos way. And I think someone else
and
just
it's also based on another movie, Save the Green Planet.
Right. Yes, that's true.
It doesn't feel as much like, it feels like he put his work onto something else, where it's not like The Lobster. Is that based on something? I don't know. Or Killing of a Sacred Deer, where it's like, damn, this is weird and dark. It doesn't feel like his why is everyone speaking like that kind of direction, which I really like. It feels more normal, and it doesn't feel like everyone is weird. It feels like there's like two weird people.
Right. And so I think this is the third movie that I'm thinking of. Begonia was last year, but like where you have these filmmakers with very distinct styles and very distinct ways of making a movie, kind of shoehorning their style into something that maybe they don't belong in. And like really shoehorning and forcing moments of their wheelhouse into something that maybe someone else would have just done better as as a different style, or as someone else's storytelling style. Maybe this would have been a good one for them to produce. I think that there's not it doesn't feel like a Lord and Miller movie in the way that that Jump Street does, in the way that Lego Movie does. Like, those are so distinctly their own thing that when I watch this, I see, oh yeah, here's a flash of the comedy that they infused in Lego Movie. But then we have to get back to earth, and we have to tell stories. And Strat could have been so much funnier, but it was just played so straight, and there wasn't enough time again. But anyway, moments of Lord and Miller, not a Lord and Miller movie.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what would have happened with Solo if they weren't fired, if that movie would have been well received. I think about that all the time, because they tried to do their thing and Disney didn't like it and they fired them. And I wonder, with this movie, were they held back, or did they just adapt to the studio system? And Amazon was like, we're not playing. We're not gonna play these games like Disney did. Like, we're gonna do it this way. Or maybe this is Lord and Miller now. It's been a long time since they directed a movie. Maybe they've just changed throughout the past 12 years through their producing credits. Like, who knows? We're never gonna know. But it is a interesting what if to think about. If we didn't have that Solo Lord Miller movie in between all this, but so much has changed, and they've for sure changed. So maybe this is who they are at their core now.
Well, then let me go put Lego Movie on again.
Honestly,
watch that.
And Jump Street. My God, those are some of the best movies ever. Yeah,
so good.
Okay, we're almost done here, I think. But one thing I want to talk about, which Ethan mentioned earlier with the Oscar nominations, I want to get more into that, because the online discourse for this movie, the weeks leading up to its release, including now, people are calling it a modern sci-fi masterpiece.
Stop
And that
it.
made me really
It's gonna
excited.
be paid. Like what?
That's what Thomas said before we started recording.
There's just
And we can talk here and be like, oh well, they're being paid and whatever. But the thing I want to get down to is expectations for these kinds of movies, especially when you have these beloved filmmakers behind the camera. You know, when Sinners was coming out and we were hearing stuff about that movie, this exact time last year almost, when One Battle started getting released and people were saying it's one of the best movies of the decade. And then it came out and it lived up to those expectations for a lot of people. But with this movie, again, maybe we're not in the majority and maybe this movie is a sci-fi masterpiece. It doesn't sound like we agree, but a lot of people that have been seeing this movie, including Luca, who check out his review if you haven't already for ForReel, he gave it 5 stars. He loves this movie. I've seen multiple people give it 4.5. And do you find that these expectations, the word of mouth online through our colleagues, do they hinder the experience at all for you guys? Do you go in thinking if it's not as good as I'm hearing it's going to be, I'm disappointed regardless?
I don't know. I think it's a similar situation with Send Help, except I was one of the first people that I know to see Send Help, where it's like, oh, okay, sure. And then people are like, this is the best movie of all time. And like, this is kind of like the opposite. People are like, this is the best movie of all time. And I see it and I'm like, it's pretty good. It didn't bring me to the Bone Temple, but I liked it.
Awesome.
But I was just thinking like, yeah, I looked at my list of movies I've seen so far this year and I'm like, it's no Bone Temple. Like it didn't like emotionally like take my heart and like hold on. It was just pretty good. It's parents are going to bring their Gen Alpha to kids and they're going to have their Interstellar moment. Like it's going to be good for that, I guess. Like people are going to watch this and be like, I like movies. Let me see this. Let me see this. Let me see that. And yeah, sure. It's a net positive for movies, I guess.
Thomas, how about you?
Expectations are a bitch. Okay. Yeah. Like how it's I think it's one of the most toxic practices we have, that we base whether we're going to like a movie off of someone else's entirely arbitrary decision on whether they like that movie. You know, and obviously we do what we can to kind of distill information to decide, because there's a lot of movies. We can't give all of our time to every movie like, you know, we may have been able to at one point in entertainment history. But yeah, there's a lot of things requiring our attention, and so yeah, we do rely on other people's insights and information and reviews, and hype is ultimately what that is. And the unfortunate thing is that there are factors that entirely skew that, and I've been guilty of this as well. Look, when I go to a festival and watch a movie, that is an entirely different experience than just going to your Tuesday matinee because popcorn's cheap that night. You know, like it's a totally different experience. And so I think it's really important to understand the sources of the hype. I was telling you, Shawn, when before we recorded, when it came to Project Hail Mary, I was among some of the earlier screenings at the beginning of this month, but of course, the LA, New York screenings were at the end of February, and everyone came out of that saying nonsense like masterpiece. You know what? I'm not even listening to you guys, because all you're doing is talking about how privileged you were to be able to see it first. Okay. I can't actually trust your opinion is about the movie so much as it is about you had this opportunity to see this movie first. And so I held off trying to lean my expectations into those really early reactions. And I think that we all need to have that kind of discernment when taking in hype. Where is this hype coming from? What factors could be affecting that hype? Is this hype coming from people who can give credible hype, or who are influencers that make a living off of extreme opinions? You know, and there is a segment of people in what we do who can't have an average opinion. it doesn't trend. It doesn't get clicks. And so those are conversations, those are people who have to either have a really really high take or a really low take. Those are the things that trend. Is that where the hype's coming from? We really have to be mindful about that. Does anybody remember, this is a little off topic, but does anybody remember when San Diego Comic-Con premiered a movie called The Woods? And at the premiere screening, right before it started, some representative came out to welcome everyone to the screening and then announced to everyone, by the way, this isn't a movie called The Woods. This is actually the Blair Witch sequel. And everyone goes nuts. Oh my gosh, we're getting a new Blair Witch movie and nobody knew about it. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes after that screening.
Wow.
It then released, 4 months later or something in September, and dropped to like single digit reviews because it's not a good movie. It wasn't, and everybody had all this hype out of San Diego Comic-Con. Oh my gosh, people are telling us they loved it. They really loved it. This is great. All these positive reviews. They were just reviewing their experience.
Oh my God, you're right. It's at a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
My God.
It debuted at 100%. I remember when that happened because I was very interested in the Blair Witch. Like, we're getting a new Blair Witch movie. Dope. Let's do this. And so I was excited. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That must be great. Yeah. And then it came out. The early reactions were clearly just reviewing their experience, not reviewing the movie. So these are all things that, and this, I think that this goes into media literacy in general, right? I think everyone on the internet needs to be very discerning of what they're taking in and what they're processing, what they're internalizing. Same with reviews. Look, have your trusted film critic, have the source or your outlet that you go to that is generally aligns with like the type of experiences you have. If you go to film festivals, then yeah, go to outlets that go to film festivals. If you're just a general public, then yeah, go to outlets that are reviewing new movies when they come out, not just riding hype with early screenings. So I'm getting long-winded. What was the question?
No, I completely
expectations.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and just like there's Premiere Brain, or I guess Premiere Goggles, and there's festival goggles. I have definitely been victim of the same thing where you go see a movie at TIFF and you're seeing the world premiere of a new movie. You're in a theater with 1,000 people. The cast comes out, they're giving a Q&A, they're talking about the making of the movie. That affects your thoughts on the movie. Whether you want to admit it or not, you are not, your brain is not susceptible to that kind of delusion. I completely agree. And I think it could definitely be the same thing with these Los Angeles and New York film critics who get to go to the world premiere and they come out, they do a Q&A, and they get to be the first ones to talk about it. And yeah, even if they're a bit ho-hum on the movie, I definitely see people, using their wording to make it sound extreme, because you're right. That's what gets clicks. That's what gets the SEO up. So yeah,
I'm so convinced anyone who mentioned Oscars in the same sentence as Project Hail Mary was just trying to hack the algorithm. Because the Oscars are today, or at least as of this recording, the Oscars are today. And so Oscars are trending right now. And so if you can attach the word Oscar with a popular movie, suddenly, the algorithms and Google's and search terms or whatever might make your thing trend more. Not that this movie is Oscar worthy. We'll see, I guess, in a year. But it is entertaining. But yeah, trying to like clickbait and SEO hack and all those things, it cheapens the reaction, but also it skews what we should be expecting. There is no way I put the word masterpiece on this movie. It's entertaining. Crowd pleaser is the word I would use more appropriately. But I think that it's important for us to be mindful about that when it comes to generating expectations, and also just on the side of audiences, since I'm educating everyone right now, when something doesn't align with your expectations, it doesn't mean that the source of your expectations was wrong. Okay, it just means you had different priorities and you had different things you were looking for. And I kind of hate when people go to a movie and it's different than the hype, like, oh, that movie wasn't nearly as good as everyone was saying. What's wrong with everyone that saw this movie? Like, no, I mean, they there's a lot, like we just mentioned, there's a lot of factors on why they probably enjoyed that movie, or at least enjoyed that experience. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means you had a different experience and you had different priorities, and let's adjust where you're getting your expectations from next time.
Yeah, I think that's a great way.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes, I think that's a great way to end it off, as a mini PSA, being like, don't go into movies with all these.
Hey, hear our opinion about this movie, but don't listen to us. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just know your source.
Like all these extreme people online that at the end of the day may just be writing it for a paycheck or for a ticket to the next premiere. Not saying that people that love this movie are doing that, because we know people that are genuine film lovers that love this movie, and I know that they mean that with all their heart. But yeah, those LA, New York people that go to the premiere and get a photo with Lord and Miller, yeah, they might be giving that movie a 5 just because they have a photo with Lord and Miller. I'm not gonna lie,
especially with the fact that there is a difference. Okay, last educational piece, I promise. There is a difference between film critics and influencers. Okay, so when Luca gives this movie a 5-star review, which he did, Luca is a film critic. He is writing this review to share his opinion and give informed insight onto what he thought about this movie. And then there's influencers who start their videos off with things like, I just saw the newest Lord and Miller movie, and you won't believe how great this movie is, right? Like the
thank you to Amazon for flying me out cross country to see it, for putting me in a hotel.
Yeah,
I got a photo with the entire cast.
Yeah, and they got that exclusive access that they are getting because the publicists want these influencers to say good things about their movie, and influencers aren't necessarily beholden to the same like standards and rules and like self-governance that we have as critics trying to be as authentic about our opinions and about our insight as possible. They operate by a totally different set of rules. And if you have an influencer that you enjoy watching because you like their personality, you like their content, that's great. But just recognize that influencers going to these premieres and giving their opinion, I'm not going to say it's technically like paid cash money, but these invites are kind of a nice currency. And we would like to think that studios would let us have our own opinion, but for an influencer, if you get this opportunity, you're going to say positive things because you want to get the next invite, and that benefits the studio and that benefits you. It's a win-win for you to just be positive about things. So find your favorite film critic and make sure they are a critic and not just an influencer.
Yeah, we said everything we need to say, I think. But Ethan, is there anything you want to add to that before we log off?
It's a pretty movie, and if you enjoy seeing big movie, go see this in IMAX. It's not gonna rock your socks, but you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I guess that's where we'll leave this, guys. Project Hail Mary is releasing in theaters on Friday, March 20th, I want to say. Yes, March 20th. Yep. Go see it. Go to the biggest screen you can, IMAX, 70mm, whatever projector you have near you. Please go see it. It is a good time. It is. I would never see this.
Despite all the negative things I have to say, crowd pleaser is a word, and if you're in the crowd, you will likely be pleased.
Yes.
It was cool when the movie went really quiet and I could hear the 70mm projector running in the booth. That was neat.
It's the best feeling in the world. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for talking about this movie. What's next on the docket for this year? What are our next big expectations? What should people expect to hear us talk about?
That is a
Ready or
great
Not
question.
I don't know.
I would like to visit Ready or Not too. I think that's what we're doing next week.
Okay, I'll see.
Because it just had its premiere at South by. I think it comes out. I'm pretty sure it comes out this weekend.
I think it comes on the 20th too. Yeah, so we may see that. I'm trying to think. Like, I know in a couple weeks there's Super Mario. There's the drama. There's stuff coming out. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I guess I have this information I can share. So we have South by Southwest coverage, as Shawn mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. But there's a lot of reviews that we've been publishing. Our team has been really active on getting reviews out there. There's Luca has a review for Hoppers, which I'm hearing really, really great things about.
Really?
Yes,
Great movie.
apparently everyone's like Pixar is so back, baby.
Wow, that's really shocking.
And there's a review for Undertone online right now. And then a bunch of South by Southwest stuff. And then of course you can always check out our podcast where we talk about movies on a weekly basis as well. Check out other episodes there. We have great conversations, as I hope you agree after this. Yeah.
All right. So for those listening, stay tuned. We're gonna have thoughts on a lot of stuff coming out these next couple weeks. So Thomas, Ethan, thank you very much for joining me in this chat. Very happy we got to talk in extensive detail about this movie, what worked, what didn't work. Great time.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week on For Real.